Greetings CinemaBlend fans, events editor Eric Eisenberg here from beautiful Las Vegas at CinemaCon, where I just got out of the big Paramount Studio presentation where I got to enjoy 25 minutes approximately, about 20 to 25 minutes of Michael Bay's Transformers: The Last Knight, and figured use this video to kind of recap exactly what we saw. So the movie, as you've probably kind of gotten a hint at from the trailers that have been released, actually starts in medieval times, opens up to this huge destructive war scene, and we eventually learn that actually the people who are fighting there are the Knights of the Round Table. Then weirdly cuts to a scene of, it looks like Stanley Tucci is playing Merlin, which Transformers fans might find a bit weird considering that he was actually in the last movie playing a different role. We see him very briefly on horseback, but then the action kind of goes back to the future where the Earth is practically post-apocalyptic. Apparently aliens have really done their job to kind of destroy all of Earth. You catch up with these little kids who are just basically kind of ballsy and kind of roaming around this destroyed football stadium, and then you get the introduction of one of the newest characters within the Transformers franchise, which is this new character Isabella, who's played by a 14-year-old actress. She is apparently a scrapper who has a couple of robot friends. She comes into the action to help these kids escape. They wind up going into her little cave area that is constructed by a Autobot named Canopy, which is oddly appropriate. So then there's this whole big action scene. Unfortunately, Canopy is not a character that you should probably get used to seeing on the big screen because he dies fairly quickly in the next scene after that. That same sequence also introduces Cade Yeager. So then you start getting the sense of what Mark Wahlberg's kind of life is, or Cade Yeager's life is within the context of this new post-apocalyptic world. He is obviously a friend of the Autobots, while the world at large is kind of seeing all of these Transformers as kind of the enemy. There's one point where he is standing in a field, he's surrounded by all these Humvees, military guys come out asking him to essentially give up his friends, which obviously includes Bumblebee. However, he refuses to turn on them. So you get an idea of where his loyalty is, and then it kind of jumps to the next scene. And by the way, these are kind of all disconnected scenes that you're just trying to get a little bit of a sense of what's going on. So it eventually jumps to this place where the kids are gone, but Cade Yeager is still hanging out with with Isabella and this new character played by Gerard Carmichael. They are seemingly in alliance, but what ends up happening is that they start being chased down by a lot of drones, like these drones that come out of nowhere. They seem to be hunting Cade Yeager. From there, the footage kind of jumped forward. You actually see Cade riding on one of those drones that he was just trying to escape. He crash lands, and he comes into like a weird confrontation with a kind of C-3PO-esque Transformer who's actually human-sized, not like one of the big giant ones, who tells him that he has actually been chosen, and Cade has this weird medallion with him that suddenly transforms in his hand, attaches to his arm, and this robot tells him that he is kind of this chosen one and that he needs to come with him, abandon his friends because he has a mission that is far more important that he needs to take care of. So Cade goes over to Isabella, kind of leaves her with some of his Transformers pals, and along with Bumblebee and this weird C-3PO guy, they make their way to England, where we again cut to another scene where we get to meet Anthony Hopkins' character, who has his own strange Transformers tank buddy, who actually at first tries to shoot at Cade Yeager and Bumblebee and this weird robot before they realize that they're all on the same side. Then there's this weird introduction of this kind of Oxford beautiful scientist that is typical in Michael Bay movies, and apparently these two have been chosen and brought together because they are the people who are going to essentially save the world. From there, we learn that the castle that Anthony Hopkins is in is apparently the original site of the Knights of the Round Table, the Round Table itself, and also reveals that not only were there 12 Knights of the Round Table, but there were also 12 Autobots who also worked with them. So that's kind of giving you a bit of a history, and actually it wound up showing us one of the big reveals of the footage, which is an explanation of who the Last Knight is, which it seems is Cade Yeager. It seems that there is some kind of ancient big thing that goes back to medieval times that has determined that Cade Yeager is the guy who is destined to kind of save the Earth from the Autobots and the battle between the Autobots and the Decepticons. I should mention that Optimus Prime, you kind of see him floating frozen in space, and obviously from the trailers you know that he's going to have a bit of an attitude adjustment by the time he gets back to Earth. That pretty much gives you a sense of everything that I got to see. It was kind of a lot. Didn't really, you kind of get the sense from my description here that you didn't kind of get a sense of how everything really connected. But that is is kind of the kind of sense that you should get out of what to expect from Transformers: The Last Knight. We will have plenty more coverage of this film, obviously, here on CinemaBlend in the next few months leading up to the movie's release, so stay tuned for that. And also be sure to stay tuned for more from CinemaCon, and yeah, enjoy.